Hello and welcome to a Warrior Chat. Thanks for joining us today. Our topic today will be the one-to-one Chromebook program at Southern Middle School for the 2016-17 school year. I'm your host, Doug Walters, and joining me today are Dr. Len Reppert, principal at Southern Middle School. Thanks for joining us, Len.
Thank you, Doug.
And Mr. Andy Shiloh, our coordinator for our Digital Academy and Technical Integration. So thanks for joining us, Andy.
Thanks, Doug.
So let's get started here. I know we've had a program for one-to-one with Chromebooks at the high school. How long has that been going on now?
That we are going into our second year, so last year was our first year.
Okay, and I think over that year or two, we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot about what does work, what doesn't work, and now we're at the point where maybe Dr. Reppert, you can speak to this. We're looking to expand that program. Maybe just first and foremost, one of the big buzzwords, if you will, is 21st century learning, 21st century skills. And it sounds like that's what we're trying to implement with this one-to-one program. So can you guys tell us a little bit about what 21st century skills are in the classroom?
Yeah, Doug, actually the 21st century skills is we want to continue to have our students within the classroom learning the skills that they're going to need to be productive in society. Whether it is graduating from high school, going to college, whether it's a 2-year, 4-year, or going right into the workplace. To stay above the average and be on the edge of that expectation of what are the skills that are necessary, we need to continue to prepare our students. And the high school set the foundation, and moving forward last year, the 15-16 school year with the one-to-one, and this gives us the opportunity, and the great part about it is it's also going to impact the elementary by the use of devices that are going to be available to them.
Mm-hmm. What kind of devices then might roll down to the elementary level? Is that going to be some of the refurbished and equipment from the middle and high schools that is going to get to them?
Yes, absolutely. Those devices will be provided and moved to the middle school down to the elementary school. And I know the elementary teachers are going to be very ecstatic about that, as well as the students, because once we have that transition of the Chromebooks coming to the middle school and they're in the hands of our students, then that transition will start to the elementary school.
Mm-hmm. And maybe for anyone in our community who's not familiar with a Chromebook, can you just briefly tell us what is different about a Chromebook? Why is that kind of its own subset of hardware?
I'll let Andy speak to that.
A Chromebook is something that is primarily web-based. It relies on being on the internet, where you can still store minor things on there, but it runs at a smaller capacity level for storage, which makes it quicker. It runs completely through Chrome, and all of the Google items that are with it are manufactured right through the website.
Gotcha. And so you mentioned Google, and that's going to be another big part of this, is the use of Google Apps for education. So can you tell us a little bit about how Google Apps works hand in hand with the Google Chromebooks that we're going to be rolling out?
The one thing that we did at the end of the 14-15 school year is we rolled out the Gmail and the Google accounts to not only the staff, but some of in the plans of moving it to the students. And what that has done is provided so much more increased collaboration, creativity, collaboration, communication, etc., that our students are able to productively work on documents. Whereas in the past, if they were using Microsoft, Doug, you would work on the document. If we were in a team together, you would have to save it, send it to Andy and I, then I would work on it, I would have to save it, retitle it, and then send it to Andy. So there's a lot of times you can get lost, or the original document or the current document could get lost, whereas now with these Google Docs, whether it is a document, a sheet, a slide, etc., it gives us the opportunity to work on it live, and we can see the corrections that are being made and not have an issue where we're losing a document or forgetting which document we're working on.
Mm-hmm.
And then just to pick up with that, well, to back up a little bit, so just so we understand, Google Apps, Google Docs, Sheets, that would be equivalent to a Microsoft suite. That's Google's way of productivity. So you have your Google Docs, which would be like a Microsoft Word document, and that's where you can collaborate with each other, same as Sheets, which would be like an Excel sheet, your slides, which would be like a PowerPoint. Those things are what we're talking about here. The great thing about this is you can work on a Google Doc at school, save it, go home, whether you're on your Chromebook, which is where it works the best, or you are on a personal computer, you're on an iPad, you're on a tablet, you can go and access those things as long as you have an internet connection. So it breaks down the barriers of having to do something here, save it, put it to a drive, and then put that drive into a different computer and then keep going.
Doug, if I can interject, Andy just related to something about if people have an internet connection, and we know within our Southern York County community that there are some areas that parents do not have internet connectivity. The one we're really excited to share that Comcast we have partnered with, as did the high school when they rolled out their Chromebooks. They will be available at the parent nights, which we will have Tuesday the 16th and Wednesday the 17th. But that information we'll also share on our webpage, under the Chromebook tab in the middle school, so that parents that do not have internet connectivity, they can reach out to Comcast, to see how that can be provided for them.
Excellent. Well, maybe tell us a little bit more. So you kind of covered the hardware and some of the cloud tools that Google Apps offers, but is there anything beyond that? I know sometimes people mention a Chrome store. What else can we do with that?
So Chrome Store is where you can go and you can get extensions and applications similar to what you'd see on a phone or something like that with what we're used to. And you can get items that would be good for productivity, good for organization, and things along those lines. There is an app store that anybody can access in the world now. But as Dr. Reppert might fill in any gaps, we're going to have a middle school app store, Chrome Store, that is going to be specific to our middle school.
And what we're doing is we have had many of our teachers have explored the Chrome Store during last school year, and they have provided us feedback, specifically as to what would be some of the apps that would be most beneficial to our students. So we are still in process of developing that Chrome Store for the middle school. And the great thing about technology, it changes every second, every minute. So we have teachers that are continually contacting me as well as our building technology committee and stating, can we look at this app? Can we look to add this app? So that's a great thing as they find better ways to be productive within the classroom.
So it truly is a collaborative effort between all of these different stakeholders to make this program as robust as possible and offer as many of these tools to our students as
And the exciting part would be, even as students have the opportunity to experience, and as they're exploring, maybe on their personal way of going in and looking at the Chrome Store. So we're excited that if students have apps that they find that are useful, to share that with the teacher so that we could see, how they can be productive for all and have that added to our Chrome Store.
And that's something that we did at the high school last year. We got so many different things from students just from experiencing on their own levels of what they have. So we'd like to continue that at the middle school.
Maybe let's shift gears real quick. When students are obviously taking these devices home, as you want them to be available 24/7, 365, how do we go about protecting these devices? Obviously, Google Apps for Education comes to us at no charge from Google because we're an educational institution, but the hardware comes at a cost. So how do we protect that hardware when it's out in the students' hands?
Well, the first and foremost is all the parents had received, when the student schedules were sent home, a copy of the Chromebook guidelines and the warranty policy. We believe it's very important that the parents have a full understanding of what the expectations are with the devices, as well as what the warranty policy is prior to the students receiving those. In doing so, this will give the parents an opportunity to have a full understanding. So if they have any questions, they were provided that information first. We have all the information that is posted on the middle school website under the Chromebook tab, under the Chromebook and warranty policy information. The one specific piece I would share that in the mailing that had gone home to the parents is we are expecting those signature forms to come back before that the students are handed the Chromebook. We don't anticipate, the Chromebooks are not going to be handed out day one of the school year. As I stated, they'll be handed out sometime during the first few weeks of school. But it's important that we have that information back, that the parents have read and understand not only the care for the Chromebook, but how to handle it, the responsible, acceptable use, because we want to make sure that they're using it productively and responsibly, but then more importantly, how they're taking care for it. So I'll let Andy speak a little bit to the warranty.
So our warranty works that anytime something breaks, you get a free warrant, you get a free pass basically. And how that works, if you come in and your screen for whatever reason goes out, what they can do is fix that for free of charge. The Tech Shed gives a loaner, which the Tech Shed is our student help desk. That's going to be both at the middle and high school this year. And they give them a loaner, they fix it, and it comes back. If there's any breakages after that, then we go into insurance policies and the like.
Gotcha. So it's good we have a program to protect the hardware. Now let's talk about protecting our children. Obviously, we all recognize that the internet, when we are opening up access to it, is going to have good content and negative content, right? And so one of the things that as an educational institution we're required to abide by is COPPA, I believe. Can you explain a little bit about COPPA and the ways that the district is ensuring that we're COPPA compliant?
Yeah, COPPA is the Child Online Privacy and Protection Act, and it specifically applies to children under the age of 13. As our teachers are looking at applications that they want to utilize within the classroom to enhance instruction, we want to make sure that we're protecting the rights of the students. So many of the apps that parents may have already accessed, maybe even themselves, where they have to enter personally identifiable information. There are specific guidelines that will prohibit us from accessing those apps. But more specifically, for parents that have a student that's under the age of 13, and not only does this apply to several students, well over 100 students at the middle school, but all of the elementary school, is that in order for their students to participate, they'll need to identify on the COPPA form and return that, so that our teachers know which students can participate, have parental permission, and which students do not. Okay.
And beyond the hardware protection and the protection of our children through compliance with COPPA, are there any other safety precautions or safety measures that the district is going to take into account here?
So, along with the safety that you're talking about, hardware, we've got COPPA. Our district has our Google Apps for Education, our GAF domain, through sycsd.org. And what we've done is build basically a wall garden. And how that works is that everything stays within our sycsd domain, unless otherwise approved by the district. So if a student is collaborating with another student, they can't collaborate with somebody that's outside of sycsd unless there's approval. So anytime that they're working on documents, pages, anything in that respect, it is protected with us. That goes with Gmail, that goes with calendar, all those things.
And the beautiful thing about this, Doug, our students are accustomed to this as we rolled out GAFI, the Google Apps for Education, as well as all the other Google Docs, etc., at the beginning of the 2015 school year. So they're already aware of how to be protected, how they're going to remain safe within our Southern York County School District domain. This is just now providing them a device that they can access this information and these documents a lot quicker.
What's special about this is not only did they have this rolled out last year at the middle school, but also last year at the elementary school for grades 4, 5, and 6. So, I'm sorry, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now our rising 7th graders are coming with the knowledge already in them of how these things work. And I will tell you that in my experience with all of our children here at SYCSD, they teach us just as much as we teach them about technology.
And I guess one question that might come up from our community is, as we get into this, and obviously we're several years into the program at varying degrees, but if parents have questions or concerns, what's the best way for them to reach out to us? Who should they get in touch with, and specifically with the middle school one-to-one, let's say?
I think with the middle school, first and foremost, they can contact the middle school at 717-235-4811, extension 3252, or they can email me directly at len.reppert@sycsd.org. Otherwise, if there's any specific technical questions regarding devices, they can always access or contact our help desk at helpdesk.sycsd.org.
Okay.
And I believe that is extension 7262.
Okay, perfect. Beyond that, maybe give us a quick preview. What kind of apps has the middle school already picked out for use in its one-to-one program?
Okay. Andy and I will kind of go back and forth with this. Gmail, which is the number one way to communicate between teacher, the staff, even teacher to student, student to teacher, and it provides us multiple ways of that online communication. The one part I am thrilled about is having Gmail. Students now have reached out to me and shared with me documents and shared with me, Dr. Repper, can you please take a look? Can we have some feedback? We're really proud of something we have done. So that has actually increased the communication between myself and students based on having this accessible, where the students have an accessibility to Gmail.
And what's nice with Gmail is I've seen the students both at the middle and high school advocate for themselves by reaching out to teachers or reaching out to other staff members and saying, I would like to do this, or I need help with this. So not only are they able to ask that in the classroom, but now they walk away, they have something they want to make sure they get out, they're able to do that. And our middle school teachers specifically, all the teachers, but I've watched their program, are so great at teaching digital citizenship with the students. And we go into it when we roll out and everything along those lines, but they teach them, what is an appropriate way to communicate with each other. What is your audience? And so that is a fantastic thing with Gmail.
Mm-hmm. And beyond Gmail, what other apps are we going to throw out right off the bat?
Well, we've already had access to Google Docs, Google Sheets, which Andy had shared is very similar to Excel, but to the Microsoft version of Excel. But it gives the students a way to kind of build those documents. Slides, which is Microsoft's version of the PowerPoint. But as we go through many of these apps, the great part is that collaboration, as Andy had mentioned. We can work on it at school. We can go on it at home, access the document. We could be in 3 different locations simultaneously working on a document. So those 3 are primarily helping us, kind of move forward, and getting ready for the next step. Google Classroom, I'll let Andy speak to that. That is a format that several of our teachers, accessed last school year, and were very proficient, but really enjoyed that based on the collaboration they were able to have with their individual classes with the students.
So Google Classroom is an educational tool in which teachers can set up an environment where they can send out documents that they want students to be able to complete. They can start discussions. They can post announcements. And it is a way, and whenever Google Apps for Education first came out, what happened was Dr. Repper would be the teacher. He would send out a doc. Everybody would have to make a copy of that doc. Then they would have to make their own and then send it back to him. And his inbox would be flooded with different documents. Google Classroom organizes that for them. What's great is that it's set up in a way that students are familiar with it. It's a stream. So a lot of our social media, we see streams of everything, and that's how Google Classroom is set up. It's a great way that you can have things in your classroom, things for organizations, groups, clubs, and I know that last year at both the middle and high school they utilized that.
And beyond Google, I know we've also got what we would refer to as a learning management system being put in place. Can you tell us a little bit about that, what a learning management system does, how that might tie all these things together?
Yeah, the learning management system is really how our teachers organize contact, have things, whether communicating with the students, similar to, as Andy referred to, with the Google Apps for Education or the Google Classroom. Canvas, the entire secondary is moving to that as a learning management system. In the past, prior to this school year, parents were accustomed to Blackboard. So many of the features are very similar, but our teachers are ready to roll day one at the middle school with information regarding their announcements that they're going to have for the students, assignments, resources, etc. And the teachers will continue to build that. It's a great way for the teachers to have their material organized, but more specifically organized for the students, as they need that for not only during the classroom when they're utilizing the devices, or if they need accessibility for the work outside the school.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we've covered all the bases. I think it's fair to say we're putting a lot of new technology at our students' fingertips, in their hands, and also at our parents' fingertips so that they can track their progress, the students' progress, and stay up to date on what their kids are working on. So we appreciate your leadership, Dr. Reppert and Mr. Shiloh, in this effort. We're excited to see how this goes at the middle school for the 16-17 school year. And again, I just want to make sure the community knows that they can reach out to you, Dr. Reppert, by phone or email for any questions or concerns, or to the district help desk. Anything that you guys want to add on here right at the end before we close?
First and foremost, we would like to thank the school board and the administration, as well as the district technology committee, by making this happen for the middle school. We've understood for years the importance of moving our students into the 21st century. We've done that instructionally within the classroom. This tool, as we say, is only to help enhance the instruction within the classroom. But without the support, this would not have happened, and we would not be in the position we are today. And also a big thanks to Andy Shiloh here, has provided a lot of support and training to our staff that have been able to support our students with the transition into Google Docs last year, but more importantly, as we're moving forward with the Chromebooks.
And I would just follow up thanking the teachers in the planning of last year, and as we continue to go forward into this year, they played an intricate role in what we were doing, in when we were going to get everything out, how we were going to communicate, what we wanted each student to have in the App Store, and all of those things. So they were fantastic with that.
Excellent.
And in one final note, we encourage all middle school parents to come out to the back to school night, which will be on September 7th at 6:30, starting right at 6:30, where parents need to report to their child's homeroom. But they'll have an opportunity to speak to each of the individual teachers as they follow their child's schedule and find out more about how we're going to enhance the instruction and make this a phenomenal year at Southern Middle School.
Very exciting, very exciting. Well, Dr. Reppert, Mr. Shiloh, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm sure we'll be following this as a community very closely to see what kind of awesome things our students here are doing at the middle school this year. So for myself, Mr. Doug Walters, for Dr. Len Reppert, Mr. Andy Shiloh, we thank you for watching this Warrior Chat. And on behalf of all of our video production team at the high school, Mr. Mark Rill, Mr. Tim Hare, and all the video production students, we'll see you next time.